Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a little while since I put a video up. Life's been interesting. What's happened since? Let's see. I moved over to Cheney, going to Eastern Washington University, working on my degree. It's going to be a few years, but hey, sooner I can get it, the better. I am roughly 2 months into my exile in Cheney, so it's been very interesting. Let's put it that way. Trying to stick with Airsoft. Right now, class takes up a lot of time. Work, thankfully, is not a problem. But still got a few projects going. Couldn't take a ton of Airsoft guns with me. Thankfully, I found an apartment that they were cool with having Airsoft guns and such in the building. Strangely enough, they're not okay with pets. They're okay with guns. It's highly unusual for the area. But anyway, I just wanted to take a second and kind of catch everyone up on what's going on and some of the projects I'm actually working on right now. Kind of curious. I found a shop nearby, a really cool little place. They got a lot of old stuff there. I was able to pick a lot of it up for some pretty decent prices, actually. Hopefully I'm going to pick some more of it up soon, but this depends on finances with school right now. Investing in anything Airsoft has to have some kind of return value other than a video, you know, for the most part. Some of the cool things, actually, let's check some of the projects that I'm working on right now. First thing is something you're not going to see every day. This is a, well, more or less, Tokyo Marui SIG 550 or 550. It took a little bit of reconstruction. It's kind of pieced together, if you will. As far as I can tell, the outer barrel and front end are pretty much from a Cybergun, whatever brand that is, SIG 550, or sorry, 556. So it kind of had the tactical looking front end on it instead of the standard one like the Marui has. I was able to get the Marui. I still have to get the that front end so it fits properly, but it's a SIG, I believe it's a 550 upper and a 551 lower. As you can see, it's actually got all the it's even got the burst fire marking, so that's not something you see every day. It shoots incredibly well. I was able to pick up a couple of different lowers, so I've got both the SIG 550 and the 551 lower. So this is the 551 lower. I kind of liked having the burst marking. It was something kind of different. Shoot, I didn't pay a whole lot for it. It was pieces, so it was like under $100 for all of it. It came with a lot of upgrades, actually. Had the EG-1000 motor in it. You don't see those every day. Came with a lot of Garter parts, actually. Garter bearing spring guide. I think it was a Garter 120 spring. It's got this thing kind of shooting hot. It's like 450 FPS right now, so it's like, yeah. Aside from that, I believe it's a Garter steel cylinder head. I'm not a fan of those because they're very heavy. They put a little more strain on the gearbox, but it had it in there, and I'll figure I'll leave it for now. It's got a sorbo pad. It'll probably be fine for a bit. Let's see, it's still got the Marui piston, gears. I believe it had Garter steel bushings in it. They're 6 mil. Aside from that, wired Dean. Sounds really good, shoots really hot. I'm actually going to take this out to Nighthawk Airsoft tomorrow and test out its range and accuracy. I was thinking about selling this one. I figure I got to have a little bit of return value on my investments, right? So I figure this is kind of a cool one, something you don't see every day. I did have to order the pin here off of Evike. It's an ICS pin, figure 10 bucks. And then I got a magazine just to test it out. It's really cool. It actually came with the black flash hider already attached, so that was nice. And it's a little creaky, pretty solid though. I love the feel, and it sounds really, really nice. So I'm kind of curious to see how it shoots, and I'm still on the fence about selling it. I probably will. But I'm going to see how it shoots, and if it shoots stupid well, I will probably throw the 551 front end on here and just keep it. So we'll see. My other project, or actually second project out of 3, this is a Classic Army B&T MP5 A4. It's also a bit of a parts gun. It's still a Classic Army stock. I couldn't find a, or actually I didn't have one on hand, a spare MP5 stock, and that actually fit the Classic Army stock. This is actually off of, I believe, a Classic Army G3 SG1, or whatever they call it, SAR Tactic Rifle 2. So that was a spare I found. Still needs a selector switch. I've got a bunch in storage back in Everett, but unfortunately that's 300 miles away, and I don't really have anyone over there that can dig through the bins in my storage, let alone can get into it. So it's kind of cool. Something you don't see every day. You know, the B&T markings on here, those are old Classic Army. Those haven't been around for quite a while. The handguard, unfortunately, the light does not work. I even tried new batteries. The bulb looks like it's fine. It could just be the wiring in the handguard. I might take a look at it. I do need to put a new handguard on here because the little rail inserts that keep it fixed were shaved down for some reason. So it's kind of weird. This one I'm definitely selling. I actually have a buddy of mine back in the Everett area who really wants it for CQB. So I made sure it shoots pretty soft. I want to say it's probably shooting about 300, but I haven't chronoed it yet. It still needs the rear sight, the selector, the front sling loop is missing, but I believe I can get a spare one of those. That's not a problem. That, or I'll find another pin for it. And I've got plenty of handguards back home that'll work just fine for it. I got it wired to Dean's already. Sounds pretty good. Semi and full auto worked just fine. And internals are pretty much stock. I think I had to clean the barrel out really good because this must have been sitting in a box for a long time. When I got this too, it was basically, it's all in parts. It didn't have a handguard or anything or stock. I ended up having to throw a lot of this together. So probably 95% of it is Classic Army. The handguard, I'm not sure what brand it is offhand. I'd have to do some research and figure it out, but it's probably G&P would be my guess. I really couldn't say offhand. It could be Classic Army as well. But this is definitely a cell gun. I've got enough MP5s, and I'm not the biggest fan of the MP5A4, so I'm definitely going to sell this one. Now, the last of my 3 little projects I've got going on, this thing, I saw it in the shop, and I said I've got to have it. Now, it started as an MP5 SD5 from Classic Army, and that's something you don't see every day as it is. So I ended up digging through a bunch of spare parts they had, and I found an SD2, SD3 lower. I'm going to take the mag out because it's very jiggly. And I decided, you know what, this is the first gun, airsoft gun I ever wanted to buy was an SD3. And I ended up getting the ICS PDW MP5 with the folding stock a long time ago. It's a great gun, but I really wish I'd gotten the SD3. It was such a cool gun, and you just can't get these anymore. No company makes an MP5 with this lower. No company hardly makes MP5s right now. But this is still a bit of a pieced together gun to some extent. This is actually the Classic Army aftermarket suppressor, so it is without the orange tip. This is the original one. It's kind of a small miracle I was able to find one of these. They are very hard to find. They're not on the internet anymore. As far as like parts for replacement parts for this, there's only a few places that even have parts that'll fit this anymore. But a lot of it's Marui compatible, so it's kind of, you can still find parts to some extent. The stock, I have no idea what brand stock this is. I'm pretty sure it's Classic Army. I know this stock cap is not Classic Army because it doesn't fit perfectly. And I want to say it's probably Cyma or something along those lines. But internally, it is it's kind of hit or miss Classic Army. I found a Systema genuine 18-to-1 gear set as well, brand new. I threw it in there. I love those gears. When I got this too, it wasn't completely brand new, even though it was on the wall. It was kind of a new gun. It did have a Garter torque up or motor or infinite torque, whatever they call it, which are out of production as well. So it was kind of cool to find that. It had a random spring, like, you know, one of these that's actually in here. Probably JG or something along those lines with the spring still attached. It had that in there. And I'm not a big fan of those. I really don't like them. Plus that spring is probably shooting too hot. I want this to be a CQB gun. So I dropped a pretty soft spring in. It should be shooting roughly 300 to 330, somewhere in there. The piston I ended up installing and piston head were just G&G stock. They worked just fine, pretty happy with them. Still got the Classic Army metal spring guide. It's got the washer on the bottom. It's not bearing, so it's nothing special. 6mm Classic Army metal bushings. The one thing I really want to swap out of here soon is the trigger switch and wiring. I left it stock and I still haven't wired it to the front, so it's literally just a Tamiya plug sitting in the back here, because this, like I said, did come as an SD5, so it's still got the stock wiring here I have yet to actually do anything with. Yeah, that kind of covers it. Installed a sorbo pad, put a G&G plastic cylinder head in there, because this one, also came with a Garter steel cylinder head, and I just really don't like those. They are way too heavy. So I ended up putting a plastic one in here, just to keep the stress down on the front of the gearbox shell, because it's not radiused either. So sorbo pad helps a little bit there. I really wish the suppressors were easily disassemblable, but this has got like 4 pins in here and you can't easily drive these out. So they're stuck in there. And the front is actually, looks like it's welded on. So this thing is pretty sealed. It almost feels like it has weights in it because it's not balanced. It's very back heavy and it's very heavy. So this adds a solid more than a pound to the gun. So unfortunately you can't put foam in there, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? It actually adds a nice pop to the gun, which I really like. One other thing that was going on with the gun when I got it, well, it didn't have the correct selector switch in it. It had the A4, the A5 lower, and the selector was, I don't know what brand it was, but it had been filed down and kind of makeshifted almost to work, and it didn't have the little spring detent in there, so it would just move up and down freely, and I wasn't a big fan, so that's also why I put the SD3 lower on it. But the charging handle was broken, so normally it would come with this like little plastic deal, and really it's not a good design. I ended up finding a bunch of these in the back that are spare, and I was able to install a new one that's actually not broken. But I can see how easily they break. If you do the MP5 slap on here, it just will break probably after a couple times. It's one of the weaker ones I've seen. Like even the ICS and some of the other MP5 brands that are plastic are much stronger design. So that I will never do. But I did like the fact this is got a fake bolt in here you can pull back, and it is actually a I wouldn't call it proprietary hop-up chamber. You can't find them anymore, and they're metal, and they are the only ones that fit in here. So like the Echo one won't fit, the Marui won't fit, anything along those lines. The chamber won't fit in here, but the bucking, the barrel, of course, are Marui compatible. It works for everything. Kind of goes to show how old this thing is. Oh, that's loose. I should tighten that. Anyway, I tried to take the barrel out because the hop-up was kind of slanted and I couldn't really rotate it. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to take it out, clean it, make sure the bucking's okay. And stupid thing. The bucking was so old, it was so dry. It was just this hardened piece of plastic and it just ripped apart when I took it out. So I think it's an ICS bucking I put back in here. Seems to seal okay. But yeah, just kind of an interesting find when you find guns like this in an old shop. And it's things that can't really put online. It's things that if you go in, hey, they happen to have it, cool, and no one else seems to know about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Try and keep everyone updated. I really can't do a lot of airsoft gun reviews because I don't really have anywhere to shoot them around here. It's quite a drive to actually go somewhere, and I really don't know what property belongs to who around here, so it's kind of hard to go out in the field, and I don't want to be flashing guns around. It's not cool. I don't really have a whole lot of money to invest right now because college is expensive, and college is expensive. College is very expensive. So yeah. Also got Nighthawk Airsoft coming up tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. Haven't been out there. I know a couple of guys out there know me and are should be a lot of fun. So a couple of these guns I'm definitely going to take out tomorrow, range test. This one, it's more of a CQB gun. I'm not going to run it for field. It shoots a little too soft, and I'm probably going to try the SIG out. I only brought a few guns with me, so I brought guns like my Echo 1 AK700, which I will definitely be using tomorrow because this is such a solid, awesome gun. And enough said. So hopefully I'll see you guys out on the field at Nighthawk tomorrow. If you don't, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.